morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be talking about a new Corviknight card. It's been revealed on the Japanese website. It's been translated by our good friend, the lovely Antoine Boulet. And this one could be a lot of fun. Starting off having a look at the basics, we've got 160 HP, which is... It looks high, but it's actually just standard for a Stage 2 nowadays. And by nowadays, I mean since we got stuff like Dragonite in the Sun and Moon base set. Long time ago now. Good couple of years. We got a retreat cost of 2, which means we can use Air Balloon for a bit of free retreat. We got a resistance to fighting, which isn't terribly relevant, but it's always nice to have a resistance. And weakness to lightning kind of sucks because stuff like Pikachu and Zekrom, but also because of electro power. So any lightning Pokemon that can do 50 damage can play one electro power, put it up to 80, and with weakness get a KO. That kind of sucks. And being a colourless Pokemon means very, very little. There's not much to hang your hat on here. You're not hitting anything for weakness. You can use triple acceleration energy, but so can any evolved Pokemon. You can use twin energy, but so can any non-GX, non-V Pokemon. If I'm honest with you, it's not great to be a colourless Pokemon at the moment. But there's got to be something useful about this card, and the great news is, there totally is. It's got the ability Flying Taxi. When you play this card from your hand to evolve one of your Pokemon, you may choose one of your other Pokemon except Corviknight and return it and all cards attached to it into your hand. This, ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely adore. This is a phenomenal ability which is going to really, really help. And here's the thing, a bunch of you probably looked at this and went, well, isn't that just Scoop Up Net? And in a lot of ways, yes, it is just Scoop Up Net. Scoop Up Net is an item card which lets you put one of your non-GX, non-V Pokemon into your hand. But there's two gigantic differences between this and Scoop Up Net. Gigantic difference number 1, you get to keep all of the cards, not discard them. So something like Scoop Up Net, let's say you want to heal a Pokemon with Scoop Up Net. You've got to get rid of any cards attached to it. So any energy like Twin Energy, which cannot really be recovered, ouch. Any Pokemon tool, which can be recovered with Lana's Fishing Rod, but it's not exactly easy, ouch. When you're playing Scoop Up Net, there's always this decision of, can I afford to do the discarding? Which is why we're expecting Scoop Up Net to see the most play, just reusing stuff like Galarian Zigzagoon. When you drop it down, you get to put 1 damage on one of your opponent's Pokemon. And maybe even Galarian Obstagoon, which... Well, it's a Stage 2, and when you play it down, you got 3 damage counters, so you can basically pick it up and just go through the whole process again. Or something like the Mewtwo from Unbroken Bonds, whereby when you play it, you put a supporter card from your discard pile on top of your deck. And then you use the Oranguru from Sword and Shield to swap a card in your hand with that supporter card, which is now on the top of your deck. This lets you keep anything. So you can have a big, bulky Pokemon, and you get to keep the energy, keep the tools, etc. But probably the biggest difference here, you get to use it for GX and V Pokemon. Yeah. So let's say for argument's sake, and this is a bit of a personal example, but I'm going for it, Copperaja V Max. I like Copperaja V Max. It's got the joint highest HP we've ever seen at 340. But the reason it gets elevated above Snorlax VMAX is because you get to use either buff padding, like Snorlax does to give an extra 50 HP, or you get to use Metal Frying Pan to reduce damage done to you by 30 and take away your weakness. This is a gigantic Pokemon, and when I showed you a video about Copperaja VMAX, I completely honestly and straight-facedly told you it was the hardest Pokemon we've got to KO. And I meant it. There is no Pokemon, as far as I'm concerned, that we've seen that's, at least in the game at the moment, which is harder to KO. Gigantic HP, reduces damage done to it, no weakness, ouch. And now you just get to reuse it. What's to stop you just playing a Super Scoop Up? Absolutely nothing. There is nothing to stop you just playing a Super Scoop Up instead. Just so long as you can always hit heads. And if you can always hit heads, good on you, ladies and gentlemen. Good on you. This doesn't need a coin flip. This don't need no coin flip, ladies and gentlemen. You just roll with it. And that's one of the cool things here. You can use it as a pseudo scoop up net, but it's a stage 2, let's not go crazy. But really the hook here is you get to use it on a Pokemon GX. You get to use it on a Pokemon V. You've got your Arceus and Dialga and Palkia. You've already used your GX attack. You don't want to keep it on the field any longer because you're terrified it's going to get KO'd and give up free prizes. Oh, look. You totally can just pick it up with Corviknight and you're off and rolling. And here's the real trick to Corviknight. You can use Scoop Up Net to reuse Corviknight. And you can just keep this going on a loop. So now, essentially, anytime you play Scoop Up Net, it can be used with Pokemon GX and Pokemon V. Because you play Scoop Up Net to pick up Corviknight, you then evolve one of your pre-evolutions on the bench, and then you get rolling. And in theory, you have yourself a couple of these, and you use Scoop Up Net to just reuse them in turn, and then you're rolling. On a non-GX, non-V, I don't think I can wholeheartedly, or even half-heartedly, recommend using Corviknight. Yes, you get to keep the cards attached to it, but unless you're super precious about your special energy tools, etc., I don't think it's worth it. Just use Scoop Up Net. The reason you use Corviknight, essentially, is to turn Scoop Up Net into a card that affects GXs and Vs. Picking up a 2 or 3 prize Pokemon so your opponent can take a KO. Reusing a coming into play ability. Use this to pick up a Dedenne and then reuse Dedenne to discard your hand and draw 6 cards. That would work. That seems like a thing that could be quite good. Or just get something off the field. Do some healing. There's so much good with this. It is on a stage 2, admittedly, and that's awkward. But does anyone really want to live in a world where we've got a stage 1 Pokemon that when you play it can completely heal up something like an Arceus and Dialga and Palkia and can be reused with Scoop Up Net? If this was on a stage 1, we'd all be complaining it's too good and is going to break the game. So yes, it is slightly underpowered compared to how it could be, but it is the only way to stop it being stupid, over the top, crazy broken. And I'm kind of alright with that, ladies and gentlemen. I think that's a fair trade-off, if I'm honest with you. I think this is probably a good way round to do it. But make no mistake about it, this is an awesome ability, and I do see it seeing play. Not as much play as it could because it's a stage 2, but can you honestly tell me no one's going to make a deck with Copperaja V Max or some other gigantic, bulky, super hard to KO Pokemon and then use Corviknight to continually heal it? I feel fairly confident someone's going to try that. Now, it may or may not end up being hugely successful, but you know someone's going to try it. As for the attack, there's a very good reason we've got 9 minutes into the video without mentioning the attack. Partly it's because the ability's really exciting and there was quite a lot to dig into, and partly we're talking free energy, 120 damage. And it's colourless energy, so you can use triple acceleration energy to pay it in one go. You can use twin energy to pay 2 of the free. You can play it in a Malamar deck. You could play it in a welder deck. There's a million different ways to accelerate the energy here, and why would you even bother? Free energy on a stage 2 Pokemon to do 120 damage? No. Bearing in mind the Dragonite from Sun and Moon, which I showed you earlier and told you was quite an old card at this stage, 2 energy, 130... and at the time, we actually still had double dragon energy. So for 1 energy attachment, you could do 130. And it Well, it did get discarded, to be fair, but that's not the point. The point is, this is I think a polite and correct way to phrase it would be phenomenally underwhelming card. I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I want to like it. I want to get excited. I want to fill my hype meter up. But let's just focus on the ability. And I do like the ability. I do think it's niche. I don't think it's going to work in every deck. But I think there are going to be some decks that absolutely break this card. So I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wussies. We don't give half Wussies. That would be barbaric. But now it's over to you, lovely ladies and gentlemen. I would like to know which Pokemon you want to use this with. I want to know which Pokemon you're looking to pick up. So go nuts in the comment section. But please remember the rule. Be nice, would ya? And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WasiPlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.